So, of lately, we've been uploading these seat height test ride videos of various bikes, and I thought I should talk about it a little bit. So, why do we do these seat height videos? One thing is that online, when you look for short riders on bikes to check their seat height, what you usually find is relatively taller dudes sitting on showroom floors and just checking the reach, but sometimes that is just not enough. What myself and maybe others of my height also might be looking for is that how does a bike handle when you're actually on the move, not just sitting still on a flat, comfortable floor in the showroom. So that's why I saw that such videos don't exist, and that's why I started making these videos in our channel. We started putting effort to go to showrooms and get these bikes and then go take a U-turn. So I have no offense towards any person who upload these high check videos with various dudes just sitting on the bike. That helps. But I felt we should go a little extra, a little further than that, just to show how a bike handles. That brings me to the next thing I want to talk about: why U-turns. U-turns is essentially one of the more challenging maneuvers to do on a motorcycle. So once you start riding, almost all the bikes are easy to ride, to be honest. But taking a U-turn is where I have made mistakes, and I have slowly come to a stop and dropped the bike because I lose balance. So when I'm making these videos, we are trying to show you how easy or how difficult it is to take U-turns. And the intention in those videos also is not to take a quick, easy U-turn. It's to show that how the feet is reaching, how the bike is being handled by an average and a normal person, normal rider of roughly 5 foot 3, 5 foot 4 height. So that is the intention. We have received feedback that the U-turn looked very slow and very, very difficult. That is the intention. It is the intention of these videos to show how difficult or easy it is to handle certain motorcycles and how to take these U-turns. So there is one goal for all these videos. The ultimate goal is that if a motorcyclist or a want to be person of a lower height who is very scared or intimidated by motorcycle sees a person of 5 foot 3 height riding maybe taller, heavier bikes, and they get motivated to try out the bike and swing their leg over a motorcycle at a dealer showroom floor, and then even take a test ride and be impressed to make that purchase. That helps all of us a lot. It helps the motorcycling community to grow. It takes the motorcycling to more people. And in essence, you can think of it, one person in a car creating a bigger traffic jam compared to that one motorcyclist who got motivated to try motorcycle and then make that part of their commute. It helps everyone in a sense. So that is one main agenda of this of these videos so far that we have made. If we manage to convince one of you to go visit a showroom one time, we have won. That is how we see these videos. We are very humble. We want to encourage and motivate others. That is the main goal. This video is going to be a compilation of all these test rides that we have done so far. The count has reached 25 bikes so far. And in the initial few videos, we hadn't put voiceover on the thoughts of the rider after taking these test rides. So that will be there in this video as well. And here is a chart of seat height versus weight of these motorcycles and how they stack up in like a graph, height versus weight. What we short riders would want ideally is a low seat height bike with a light weight. The weight should be lower, and the seat height also should be lower, but that's very rarely the case. So there are two areas that one who is purchasing a bike can focus on. One is low weight and higher seat height, or lower seat height and higher weight. Either or could work for riders of 5 foot 3 or lower height. And yeah, the video will have timestamps as you go along. I'll put the timestamp so that it's easy to go to the video of different bikes. This will be a compilation, so it brings all those videos into one place where you can quickly check how each bike is faring in terms of seat height and rideability. So that's it. Enjoy the videos and thank you so much for tuning in. Please do consider subscribing because it helps us grow as a channel and bring you more useful content. Thank you. So go ahead.
This is the Royal Enfield Guerrilla 450. It shares its engine with the Himalayan 450. The seat height here is quite low at 780 mm. The rider height is 5 foot 3 and inseam of 29 inches. Hence the reach is quite good on this bike, but the bike is a little on the heavier side. So moving the bike around is a little difficult because of its weight. The fuel capacity of this bike is also quite less at 10 liters, and hence it becomes a little difficult to tour on this bike. Taking U-turns and moving around the bike is doable because of the low seat height. The clutch felt a bit heavy in stop and go traffic, and the suspension also seemed decent on this bike. It's a good city bike. This would be a good bike for someone who is of low height but wants a quite powerful bike because it is a very torquey bike and it lurches forward every time you give the throttle. It would be a good beginner bike as long as you are very frugal with the throttle. This is a Ninja 300 which has a seat height of 780 mm. The rider height is 5 foot 3 and inseam of 29 inches. If you're looking for a entry level Kawasaki and very refined parallel twin engine, this is a very good bike to consider. With an amazing 70-liter fuel tank, it's a very good sports tourer as well. So beginner friendly entry level Kawasaki bike. This is a Honda Hornet 2.0. It's a very lightweight street naked bike. It has good, stable, and refined engine that is familiar with Honda, and a very comfortable seat height. Here, the rider height is 5 foot 3 and an inseam of 29 inches. It should be a very good city bike with great mileage. It has a center stand and it has USD forks. A very comfortable bike overall, very easy to handle in city traffic and all that. This could be a very good first bike for somebody who is trying to get a bike of around 150cc capacity. This is the Royal Enfield Hunter 350. It's a bike that can be considered by people who feel the Guerrilla 450 is a little too extreme and powerful. It's a good, comfortable bike compared to the older version where complaints have been about the suspension and the seat itself. It's more comfortable now, and it has a punchy engine. It lacks a sixth gear, but overall easier to maneuver for a 5 foot 3 rider of inseam 29 inches. Quite decent bike, easy to handle within city traffic. Comfortable, punchy, and small capacity and small sized bike for an individual of this height. Here is a TVS Ronin, which is a very comfortable entry level bike of 225cc. Here the rider height is 5 foot 3 and inseam of 29 inches. The bike is a mix of mini genre, like a cruiser, roadster. It has USD forks and a center stand, which are very useful and practical features. It's fairly easy to reach the floor and then easy to take U-turns and ride around in the city also. One very different thing I felt about this bike is the foot peg being a little forward set and it needs a little bit of getting used to. Overall, a very stable and comfortable bike to own and ride for long distances. Also, the only drawback I would say of this bike is that it lacks a sixth gear and it may feel a little underpowered if you have a pillion and luggage. But otherwise, it's a very nice and comfortable, stable bike from the house of TVS. This is the Royal Enfield Scram 440, which is actually the old Himalayan 411 engine, which has been rebored to give it an extra boost in power and torque. The Seat height is low, but still the feet of the rider is sent sideways due to the nature of the body panel, and hence the rider can only tiptoe on both sides. This is a bike that is old school, no nonsense, and punchy, thumpy engine. It is pretty much like any other Royal Enfield and comfortable for the pillion and the rider as well. There is center stand also. It has 5 gears, and the this bike has alloy wheels instead of what we used to have in the Himalayan 411. Overall, a decent bike if you want something no nonsense and simple from Royal Enfield. Thank you. This is a quick look at the KTM Duke 390, the latest generation. It is a very tricked out bike with a lot of latest features. This is one of the examples where the Indian spec has a lower seat height and the international one has a taller seat height. The bike feels very compact, and the rider will feel like they are sitting inside the bike rather than on it. The pillion seat will not be that comfortable for longer durations. The reach on this bike is quite good and very easy to control, very nice for tight small roads and city riding rather than long duration riding. So it's a very good bike in that regard. The Duke 250 is a very similar motorcycle to the Duke 390 because it is effectively the same bike except for the smaller capacity engine. Feet is able to tiptoe on both sides. The bike gives a feeling of sitting inside it rather than on it. It's again not very comfortable for the pillion rider for a longer stretch of ride. And here in this regard also the international spec has a higher seat height than the Indian spec, which is very convenient and good for us. Overall, the bike is very good, solidly built, very good feeling, and KTM has the habit of updating this bike with features and with latest gizmos throughout its time period. So that's good to have. The Honda CB350 RS is essentially the same bike as the CB350 and the Highness. So it has great feel and strong build quality. It is a bench seat and very comfortable for the pillion as well. It will be very good for long distance riding. All in all, I felt that the bike lacks a few latest technology features and it lacks a sixth gear also. But on the other side, it is sounding very good and the exhaust note is really good. The rider is able to tiptoe with 5'3" height. It's a little heavy feeling bike, but the bike feels solid for the same reason. If you're planning to buy this bike, it will come with a great Honda reliability as well as the build quality, and also it's this bike particularly is known to have great mileage as well. The front wheel is 19 inches, which is why it has a certain higher seat height, but the seat is very comfortable. So here is a quick look at the TVS Apache RTR 164V, the model right before the new facelift. The bike is relatively lightweight at 145 kilograms and a seat height of 800 mm. Here the rider height is 5 foot 3 inches and an inseam of 29 inches. The rider is able to tiptoe easily on both sides, and handling the bike is also fairly easy. Taking U-turns and all, riding through city should be easy on this bike. It has good build quality. The single seat gives a smoother ride and comfortable ride for the rider as well as the passenger. Couple of things I liked on this bike is the exhaust is really good sounding, and beautiful USD forks for a bike at this price point. The wheels are also colored, which is also really cool. However, what I felt lacking on this bike was there are no LED indicators or no TFT dash, but I think those are coming in the later or the latest update of this bike. And yeah, overall a good bike. That's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. You guys are the best. See you in the next one. This is a quick look at the TVS Apache RTR 200 4V. Very powerful feeling sporty motorcycle for the streets. The motorcycle is relatively lightweight at 150 kilograms, and the seat height is 800 mm. The rider height here is 5 foot 3 inches and with an inseam of 29 inches. So it felt easy to tiptoe on both sides as well as to handle this bike with U-turns and taking easy tight turns. It should be a easy bike to have in the city. One observation is that the bike is very sporty feeling, and leaving the clutch itself was lurching it forward. It has that much torque and that much power, is what I felt. The exhaust sounded really good, and there is colored wheel as well, and also golden USD forks. Even the adjustable levers are also a very good touch on this bike at this price point. In terms of cons, I would say the split seat, therefore the pillion comfort is not that good. It's a bit sporty for its own good, I would say. This bike has regular handlebars instead of clip-on handlebars. Even then, the bike felt a little bit too sporty and too aggressive. It's a very solo bike, I would say. All in all, I would say it's a very well built, sporty feeling city bike, which is mostly better suited for a solo riding situation, not too much for the pillion and pillion comfort. That's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one. This is a quick look at the Triumph Speed 400 MY 2025, model year 2025. It has a slightly higher seat height of 803 compared to the 790 which is the international spec. The new version has the Redestan tires and a better cushioned seat, which is why the seat height has gone up slightly. The rider height is 5 foot 3 inches, inseam of 29 inches. This bike has great build quality. The parts and the components on this bike are top notch. It is made of premium materials, I would say. And for my height, I am able to tiptoe this bike easily on both sides. It felt like a very compact bike, very easy to maneuver with in terms of U-turns and manage easily in city traffic. The radiator did come on a couple of times in Bangalore traffic, but it would shut down fast enough. And pillion comfort is also very good for a bike of this category, and the seat is like a bench shape, so it's very comfortable for the pillion as well. What I felt is that it lacks electronics. The speedo unit I do not like. I wish it was only for the T4 and a premium unit on this one. So that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one. Thank you. This is a quick look at the Royal Enfield Interceptor 650, the parallel twin engine bike from Royal Enfield, the alloy wheel version of this bike. Here you can see the reach for the rider who is 5 foot 3 and with an inseam of 29 inches. The motorcycle is indeed on the heavier side. The curb weight is around 215 kilograms, and the seat height, according to sources from the internet, is 803 And one thing I instantly noticed about this motorcycle was that the footpeg comes in the way when you keep the feet down. This is a feedback that I received from the owner of this motorcycle as well. The height and the weight of the bike is fairly manageable once it starts moving. What I felt was that the engine is very refined, felt smooth, and I was expecting a little bit of vibration and all that, but the bike has so much torque and it's very powerful feeling motorcycle. Moving it forward and backward on flat and smooth surfaces is doable for a person of 5 foot 3 height. And overall, a good bike, bench seat, comfortable suspension, not bad. Overall, it was a good experience riding this motorcycle. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. You guys are the best. Catch you in the next one. This is a quick look at the Himalayan 450 with its low seat option that brings the seat height down to 805 and the rider height is 5'3" inches, inseam 29 inches. Make no mistake, the bike is a bit heavy, and I actually needed help from the salesperson to push it back onto the road for me to be able to take the test ride. But as you can see, the feet reaches one side almost tiptoe, and it's quite possible once at least one feet is down on the road to manage it. And in terms of pillion comfort, my pillion reports that this is by far the best and most comfortable seat they have experienced. It is almost like sitting in a car is the verdict I've received from my pillion. In terms of proportion, also, the bike looks one size up from what a 5 feet 3 inch rider is supposed to be riding. But in terms of riding experience within the city, it can be mastered, is what I felt. The more you ride and the more you practice, the more easy the bike will become. There are famous YouTubers out there who are somewhat this height and they manage this bike quite easily. Bulu Patnaik is one example. And in terms of comfort, it's really a very comfortable bike once it starts moving. Pushing and pulling the bike front and back is also relatively possible once the feet is getting reaching on one side at least. That's it for now. Thank you. Thank you so much for watching. This is a Royal Enfield Classic 350 and its seat height check video. So here the rider is able to tiptoeing on both sides. The seat is quite comfortable even for the pillion. The bike itself is very strong feeling and comfortable feeling. The suspension is quite good. So this clearly shows why this is one of the most successful bike in Royal Enfield's lineup. It's a really old school bike with very punchy performance in the mid range, and overall very comfortable feeling bike, very easy to ride around. But it is kind of heavy, so taking U-turns and navigating into tight traffic might be a little difficult on this bike. It's a normal and very basic motorcycle. There are vibrations on this bike, but that's manageable considering what this bike is to most people. It's a very solid, no nonsense, normal motorcycle. The Honda NX200 is actually a rebranded CB200X, which is actually based on the Hornet 2.0. It's a bulkier feeling and a heftier feeling Hornet in essence. It gives a bit more road presence and a ADV bike kind of a feel. The feet is easily reachable on the ground and the bike feels very comfortable. It has very refined engine as same as the Hornet 2.0, air cooled and 5-speed gearbox on this bike. The only problem I would anticipate with this bike is the lack of power at higher speeds, let's say with pillion as well. So for touring and for a beginner entry level purpose, this bike would be a great fit. Here's a quick look at the Yamaha FZx. It's essentially a Yamaha FZ only, which has around 150 cc of power and a seat height of 810 mm. Here the rider height is 5 foot 4 and an inseam of 29 inches. This bike is essentially a regular FC itself. It shares the engine and many other components. The suspension and the seat are more oriented to having a pillion at the back. It is a little bit rugged also with many metal components like the mudguard and all. Also, the bike felt a little underpowered. When I was doing a 30 itself, I felt like the engine was doing something like 60. The seat height technically is 810, but it's a very lightweight bike at around 140 kilograms. And the handlebar is pretty raised and it faces the rider, which felt very comfortable. I felt like this bike is more oriented for suburban roads, for small commutes with pillion, because the seat is a bench type and very comfortable. Overall, a very lightweight and easy to ride bike. Here you can see me backing it easily. It's not at all that heavy feeling. Overall, I felt it's a easy and reliable city bike. That's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Here's a quick look at the latest MT15 with the TFT dash and the LED indicators. And the colors are new as well. And I went to test ride this bike, but the showroom people told me that the previous version is exactly the same except for these two new additions. And here you can see me mounting the bike. It's quite lightweight. It's one of the lightest bikes out there at this cubic capacity. The seat height is 810 mm according to the website, and the weight of the bike is around 141 kilograms. My height is 5 foot 3 and my inseam is 29 inches. I'm able to tiptoe one side at a time and flat foot if one foot is on the peg. The bike is very light and very nimble for handling. I own the first version of MT15, so I am able to give a comparison with this bike. So what I felt is that the front USD fork helps, and the rear suspension is also much softer than the version 1. And overall, the bike is very nimble. It's easy to take U-turns on this. I have experienced this bike as a very easy commuter. It's very easy to ride within the city, and there is almost absolutely zero vibration because even the foot peg is entirely metal. That should give an indication of how smooth the engine is. The only drawbacks I could think for this bike would be the lack of a larger fuel tank. The fuel tank is just 10 liters and it's made of plastic, so no magnetic tank bags. Even though this bike returns a very good mileage of around 40 kpl, I would still say a larger tank would have helped. And in highways, it's a little bit harder to do higher speeds on this bike. And here you can see me easily reversing the bike to its park location. So that's it for this one. Thank you again so much for watching. See you in the next one. This is quick look at the Suzuki Vstrom SX 250. It's a fairly tall bike for someone of my height, 5'3". The bike's stock seat height is at 835 mm. So this video is about the accessory seat which lowers the seat by 25 mm. I borrowed my friend's bike. As you can see, the bike is a little bit better to handle with the lower seat. I'll be putting pictures of the lower seat, how different it is from the stock seat. Here you can see the lower seat gives a little bit more reach. I felt it a little better to handle, but overall it's still a tallish bike for someone of 5'3" height. It makes the riding experience a little bit easier. I mean, anything can be mastered with enough practice, I would say. But this is the difference. Both the seats in the same picture, and there you go. Thanks for watching. This is a quick look at the Husqvarna Svartpilen 401. It's essentially the same engine as the Duke 390 2025 version. This version of the bike has the spoke wheel, however, the newer version has alloy wheels. I'm able to tiptoe easily both sides. Both of my feet are tiptoeing easily. The seat height is around 820 mm, and my height is 5'3" and inseam of 29 inches. It felt very comfortable to set off on this bike. The reach from the handlebar and the ground itself was really good. Felt really comfortable on this bike. This motorcycle was actually a surprise in terms of how comfortable it felt for me as well as my pillion because the seat is relatively flat. Here you can see me taking a few U-turns and trying to push the bike a little forward or a little backward. It all felt a little bit easy because even the weight of the bike is not too high. It's somewhere around 170 kilograms. So if you're looking for a bike that has the Duke's engine, the Duke 390 engine, and ample enough power and some sort of Swedish aesthetics, a bike that is a head turner and very less found in the market, this is something that you should definitely consider even if your height is around 5'3". That's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. This is a quick look at the KTM Adv 390. Taking the stand off from the bike was relatively easy. Even the seat height is 830 mm and the rider height is 5'3". Inseam 29 inches. It was a fairly good feeling bike. I immediately felt confident to go off the curb. I felt the mass centralization of this bike is really nice because even though the bike is around 180 kilograms, it didn't feel that heavy of a bike. As you can see, I'm able to reach only one side flat foot and the other side feet on the peg. And stopping the bike, keeping the feet down was nice. And even pushing the bike a little bit forward or backward was relatively easily doable. I felt overall the mass centralization itself is really good. Taking U-turns also, I didn't feel it to be really difficult to do. It somehow felt a little bit easier. I had ridden the Himalayan as well. It is much easier to do on this bike than the Himalayan, but the pillion comfort is nowhere close to what is available on the Himalayan. The seat is okay, adequate, and it is a little sloped. One interesting thing I felt on this bike was that because of my height, the front visor was actually coming in the field of view. I don't think it will be a major problem as such, but it is something that the rider will have to get used to. A rider of 5'3" or a relatively closer height. I felt the mirrors, the instrument cluster, the handlebar, everything to be really nice and comfortable. It felt essentially a little bit bigger or larger Duke 390 because the engine and many other components are shared. It felt just like a very roomier and very much more comfortable upright Duke 390. Overall, it's a very good bike. Don't get intimidated by the 830 seat height because the seat is a bit narrow and it's easily manageable, much more manageable than the Himalayan. That's it for this video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye bye. Hero Xpulse 210 is one of the best-selling ADP bikes in India at the moment, and it's a very tall seat height bike, but the seat is actually narrow, and hence one side it's easy to reach the ground. It's a very light-feeling, nimble motorcycle, and in my opinion, it has one of the best suspensions, even with pillion. You can literally glide over speed bumps. Main things I like about this bike is how light it felt and how comfortable and how balanced and manageable it felt for a rider of my height. And the bike is also packed with a lot of tech features, which adds to its capability. The only drawback I would anticipate for this bike is about its power. Let's say with pillion plus luggage, it might not be able to take bigger speeds that easily. This is a quick look at the Triumph Scrambler 400X. It has a seat height of 835 mm and weight of roughly 185 kilograms. Mostly I felt like this bike is very similar to Speed 400, only almost all same componentry except for the 19-inch front wheel and the higher suspension, the knuckle guards and the dual barrel exhaust. And the Scrambler 400 XE is also a very similar seat height plus a little bit of extra weight because of the spoke wheels. With my height at 5 foot 3 and inseam of 29 inches, I felt this bike to be a little heavy, and I could only tiptoe only on one side at a time. But the bike is fairly manageable with practice. Pillion comfort also is better in Speed 400, is what we felt. So, in my honest opinion, I felt this bike is a little bit more suited towards somebody who is slightly more taller than 5 foot 3 and somebody who wants that extra off-road capability because of the front wheel of 19-inch size. Otherwise, it's mostly a Speed 400 only with extra height and extra capabilities. I guess that is also the reason why the suspension is a little hard and why pillion comfort is a little compromised for regular city usage. This is an opinion from my side. But for a height of 5 foot 3, I would more suggest Speed 400 only because it can almost do everything nicely in the city. A very much more comfortable bike for that height. Taking U-turn and all is more easy than this bike. This bike is also possible, but it may require a little bit of practice, is what I'm feeling after taking the test ride. But yeah, very good bike, very good build quality. That's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. This is a quick look at the Suzuki Vstrom SX 250. It's a relatively tall bike. The seat height is around 835 mm in the stock setting without the lower seat accessory. As you can see, I can reach 1 feet tiptoe at a time, one side tiptoe at a time. The bike is not too heavy. It's around 167 kilograms, so taking U-turns is relatively easy. I find it a very smooth and refined motorcycle, as all Japanese bikes are. And yeah, the feet I can reach only one side. My height is 5 feet 3, and inseam is 29 inches. So as you can see, pushing the bike is little bit easier than pushing it back. One side on the foot peg and the other tiptoeing. That's how much is the reach for somebody of my height at 5 feet 3. So I'm also placing this footage of me trying to reverse park the bike after I did the test ride. Gives a hint of how much it might be an effort while reversing this bike. So I was initially trying, it was not that easy. So I felt the easier thing to do is just put the side stand and then push it once I'm off the bike. It's a good bike, I really liked it, but I just wanted to show you guys how the reach is on this bike. Thanks again. Thanks for watching. 3 RS is one of Triumph's fastest bikes in their lineup, and it's a very compact feeling motorcycle. Even though the seat height is very high on paper, the seat is quite narrow and you can tiptoe on both sides easily. It's a very stable and powerful feeling motorcycle, in my opinion. And taking U-turns and all is very easy on this motorcycle. The bike felt so balanced and so powerful, strong build quality. It felt so refined as well, this motorcycle. The beginner friendly motorcycle, but it's one of the best middleweight motorcycle that is available in India right now.